You are a woman with influence. You're powerful, smart, and successful, but your style is one area where you feel stuck. You can see that not stepping into your best style gets in the way of having the authority and the influence that you deserve, but we can fix that. If your body is the pear shape, otherwise known as the triangle or bigger at the bottom shape, you can up your styling game and feel much more powerful in your style. In this video, you'll get 5 reference points that will improve your styling game. I'll show you where people go wrong from what I've seen after styling hundreds of women. And I dress this particular shape every day because this is my shape. I'll also show you the aspect of your outfits that you are most likely overlooking, and why you need to think differently about your pear-shaped figure in tip number 5, which is probably the most important thing you can do. Do you find there is a lot of black in your cupboard? You may be telling yourself off for that, thinking I should be wearing more color. But it could be that the reason there is more black in your cupboard is because there's a specific use for black and other dark colors. Darker tones really come in handy when dressing the bigger at the bottom shape. You've probably heard people say that black is slimming, and the main reason that black is slimming is the same reason that we can have a lot of success using dark colors in your style. Black absorbs light, and this is just a fact of physics. Rather than seeing colors, which are reflected light waves, those colors are absorbed, so we see black. This also makes it harder to see the outline of your shape when you wear it. So where you want to minimize your bottom or your hips, that's where black and other dark colors can really help. And I'll show you how in a moment. Firstly, we need to be aware that your mileage will vary on these tips because your body and your style are unique to you. But today's tips will give you a really nice quick head start, particularly if you are very conscious of your bottom and hips. So now let's take a look at how this works in 3 outfits. What you might notice is that the use of dark on her bottom half has minimized the bottom half for these ladies. It's like her bottom and her hips are hiding in plain sight. Now these silhouettes are not ideal as a shape for her, but despite that, the use of the darker color has created a more forgiving effect, and her bottom half is still minimized. So that's tip number 1, use darker colors on your bottom half. The reason darker at the bottom works so well is that it minimizes your bottom and your hips. In a second, we'll look at a silhouette that does that for you as well, but minimizing your bottom is not the only way to dress the pear shape. So stay tuned for other ways to think about how you dress your figure. What kind of silhouettes minimize your bottom and hips in work outfits? Well, here's what I did. When I had my first tailor-made suit made, I shocked the tailors by rejecting the classic pencil skirt design. I asked them to create an A-line skirt for my suit instead, and they nearly fell over. They had to check with me 3 times, is that really what I wanted, even when I came back for a fitting. They had literally never made an A-line skirt for a suit in all their years of tailoring suits for women. Yes, there are pencil skirts that do work, but I wanted a skirt silhouette that is even easier to style right every time on my figure than the pencil skirt. And I stuck my ground because even though I wasn't a stylist at this point, I knew what looked good on me. And if I was getting tailor-made, I wanted a silhouette that would work for me every time. I did wear that suit for many years and the skirt for even longer. And that's because the A-line is one of the most flattering silhouettes you could come across for the bigger at the bottom shape. So that's tip number 2, wear A-line dresses and skirts much more often. Now these tips will only be useful for you if you're sure that your shape is the bigger at the bottom shape. So this is that shape. Does it sound like you? Your bottom and hips are larger than your bust. Your waist, eyes, or legs feel like your assets. Everyone has assets, we just don't always know how to work with them to our advantage. And you have a defined waist. Now, if you're not sure, I have a PDF you can download that will help you be 100% sure of your shape, and the link is in the description. So the A-line is one of the best silhouettes. Which are some of the worst silhouettes for this shape? You want to avoid silhouettes and shapes that draw attention to your bottom. In other words, they do the opposite of darker at the bottom and the A-line. Attention-drawing styles mean that your hips and your bottom, and for some women, thicker thighs, are no longer hiding in plain sight. A classic silhouette to avoid is pencil skirts that are of the hugging variety. The fabric may contain elastane to give some definition around the underside of the bottom, or it might be a knit weave, which hugs, or it may be bias cut, which means the material hangs differently, kind of diagonally. For example, this classic corporate look is not perfectly designed for the bigger at the bottom shape. But a non-hugging pencil skirt in this kind of shape is much more flattering for you. This shape has no inward lean. It's straight as an arrow down to the ground on the sides of the skirt with no subtle curving around the bottom. That subtle shift makes all the difference. It's just about being discerning about which type of pencil skirt you buy. Another type of skirt that really hugs the bottom and draws attention that we don't want in the places we don't want it is the bias cut. So avoid that one too if you're this shape, and recommend it instead to your hourglass shaped friends. As you no doubt know, there are other styles to avoid, but these are great demonstrations of the principles that you want to be styling yourself by. Another classic to avoid in your corporate looks is pants with pleats at the front. Here they are in a few different styles. Now, why would you avoid these? Because they tend to bulk out your middle from the front, not from the behind, but your natural silhouette is already heavier at the bottom. So drawing the attention to that region is unlikely to feel great on you. And to really understand why, we would need to talk about your body shape strategy. But for now, let's just say that this type of trouser is difficult to make work with the bigger at the bottom body shape strategy. If we work together, I'll teach you that strategy and how to use it. And you can find out more about how to do that at the very end of this video. So that's tip 3, avoid pencil skirts, bias cut skirts, and trousers with pleats at the front. Now, this next tip highlights the aspect of your body shape styling that you are most likely to be overlooking. This is a body shape technique that I learned through the pure hard-won experience of dressing my own figure. Most stylists are not the bigger at the bottom shape, and many of them will say that this particular aspect of an outfit is fine. This neckline is usually among the approved necklines for the bigger at the bottom shape. But I'm telling you, if you really want to flatter your bigger at the bottom shape, the V-neck is not fine. Almost every time I tried to wear a V-neck outfit in place of the other ideal necklines for the pear shape, I felt that something wasn't quite right in my outfit. The balance wasn't there. My bust looked smaller, my bottom looked bigger. Now, I'm not saying you can never wear it, but now that I'm a stylist, I know what to do to get V-neck to work for me and for my pear-shaped clients. So right now for you, the easiest way to get necklines right is to avoid the V-neck because it does minimize your bust. Avoiding V-necks is nothing to do with your bottom because it's a neckline, but it's everything to do with how fantastic you feel in your shape. And that's what you want. That's what I want for you. This channel is about feeling powerful in your style to heighten your authority and influence because style is not frivolous. Join me by subscribing if that sounds great to you. So that was tip number 4, avoid V-necks. Now, tip number 5 is probably the most important thing you can do, and I'm going to challenge you to think differently about your pear shape. You are well within reason to think your style isn't as flattering as it should be because of your shape. However, let me tell you, every single body, every single person has a body shape strategy. No one gets away with styling their shape badly. It is not that your shape is the issue, it's knowing how to style your particular shape. And one thing that might surprise you is that you almost need to forget your bottom and start focusing more on the top. What I mean is, how can you show some of your personality on your top half? It's like when you walk in the room, do you give people something to look at, and is it at the top? So you may not be the attention drawing type, but it doesn't need to be a bright, loud, dynamic print. What you need to do instead is create your own style that draws attention within the realms of your personality. Whether you are dynamic, subtle, artistic, thoughtful, reflective, or none of those, there's a distinctive essence about you that you need to share if people are going to get the right impression about you. The first step, the beginning of that journey, is to get clear on the connection between your style and your personality. My Style Synergy Types quiz can get you started. Check out the link in the resources. So that's tip number 5, show some personality on your top half. And lastly, I mentioned I'd show you how to work with me. In the description, I have a couple of links, including to my online program. And in that program, I ensure you walk away with your best approach to styling your figure successfully every time, the ability to feel powerful in your outfits, insights about which key clothing features will convey your distinct essence, understanding of the types of colours that highlight your natural beauty, all your questions answered regarding, for example, accessories, packing for travel, dressing for your age, up-to-date tips for how to present yourself on stage, on TV and online, a killer shopping strategy that saves you time and boosts your success rate, and you walk away with at least 15 outfits that show you in your best light. You are welcome to follow the link in the description to complete your application form, which I look forward to receiving. See you again soon.